but it's a debatable topic. We can talk 1 more hour on it. So let's move on. Okay, data management practices. So we little bit talked at how when funding agencies are giving us funds, we need to collect data properly, save it properly. Now even NIH is saying you need to have a central repository where you are saving all the data. You know, we can even charge NIH in, I think so, I have not done it yet, but we can even put it in budget that I want this much funds so that I can have a space to store all the data. Data needs to be stored. You cannot just not store it. And sharing is important because this money we are getting, that's a taxpayer money, and it's our duty to share that data in terms of presentations, publications, patents. We are responsible for sharing also. Yes.
Most of the time, the patents are going on the projects, right? But you're presenting that work at a conference. So is it permissible or is it not? I've seen
our next session is about patents and all that discussion. Okay, so I have a whole section about all that discussion topic. Okay, you will be here, right? Because because otherwise I can answer you. Otherwise, we can just talk about that. Okay. Usefulness is depends on careful attention from initial planning through final publication. Okay. Ownership, public good. So the money we have, it's a money from the people of the country. We are responsible to collect that data, save that data, and we have to report to NIH how many publications we had last year, every year. How many patents do we have that was funded through NIH? Research institutions claim ownership of data collected with funds given to the institution. Researchers frequently cannot take their data with them if they move. Okay, this is very cool discussion topic. We forget. So let's say I am at UGA and my lab is doing things, whatever. If I move from UGA to a different university, whatever work I did at UGA, if I file for patent, it's UGA's property. Another example, I have a startup company and I have the university lab. Whenever I file for patents, I file it from university. If I will start filing patent from my company side, I'll have to give a lot of explanation to university that how that work is totally different work than what my lab is doing at the university. And I think it will be almost very difficult to do it because university kind of owns my brain. And now I work with nitric oxide or whatever, unless I can prove it to university that now I have this researcher working for the company, this person has a background in not nitric oxide, something else, and this patent is nothing in my lab is ever being done on this type of work. That's why I'm filing this patent through my company. And I still don't know if it's possible or not. I'm just hypothetically saying, but the ownership is university owns that data. Notebooks should remain in the lab. Students can make copies of it or whatever to take it with them because this is their work. But the lab ownership is university owns that documents. Use appropriate and reliable methods, responsibility, data collection. You have to use proper methods and reliable methods to collect good, solid data. Pay attention to details, experiments must be set properly. All this is ethics, right? Data collection, If you are using human animals, we already talked a little bit, you need a lot of permissions to get all that done. Hazardous materials and biological agents. So our lab works with bacteria or viruses. Actually, I'm doing that right now. Just like for animal work, for bacteria work also, we need lot of permissions from the university. All the students should be trained, they should have biosafety cabinet to work with. We need to get all that. If student gets exposed to some bacteria, what are the risks? Students should read that before they work on it. We can even get the work going. So the thing is, what gets complicated is pressure in academia, right? Sometimes in order to move fast to get work done, we are not doing the right things. And in one or two slides, there is maybe I removed it. So there can be accidents in the lab, but if you do these things right, you can hopefully prevent the accidents from happening. So again, ethics, pressure, conflict of interest, all that is happening. Researchers can withhold confirmed or validated data until they have time to establish the priority of their work through publication or patents, right? So just like you little bit said, maybe we can talk about it now. I was thinking I'll talk it in that session thing, but we can discuss it now. So you should not, if you want to file for a patent, you have collected some data, you should not present it anywhere. Because if you present it, it becomes public information, it's not patentable. We have lost some patents like that. My student who wanted to go to a conference, they didn't talk with me and they presented something. And now we cannot file that patent. So that student lost that patent, if you think. I don't know, in India, US, there is a rule that if you if you present something in a conference or wherever, and now later on you decide, or you should have patented it, US gives 1 year grace period to file for a patent after it was publicly disclosed or published. But you cannot do worldwide or patent in other countries. You cannot file that patent in Europe or other places. Only in US I can patent it now because I got 1 year extension.
I always had this question because they do not take photos.
Yes.
But
So
then they are presenting it to us.
no, no. So I feel they are just saying do not take photos in conferences, right? Because they don't want ideas to be out. But I think once you present it in a, at least, see, I'm not an expert in this, but we have this innovation gateway or innovation district. It is our part of our university system that takes care of all this, startups, patents, filing for patents and all that. They say if it's presented, you cannot file for a patent. If later on something happens, somebody finds out, you won't be able, you will lose that patent because it was a public information. So it cannot be public information.
Maybe my paper is in communication. Maybe I have not just said it and I presented at some conference, then that particular data I think cannot be published even as a paper. So it's a public data now and it's all.
So very good point. Not just that, if let's say your story is not complete and you go and start presenting it, people can see what you are doing and they can see there is a good chance others are working in the similar field, right? and now they were stuck at a step, and you go and show your half data, and now somebody else is publishing it. So you have to be very careful when and how much data you are publishing, right? The final data should be freely available. But now what we do is that when we are publishing data, we are saying that raw data is available upon request. So we should be able to share the data. We cannot just hide data, we have to openly share data with the researchers. Now, next good topic is authorship. What do you guys think about authorship? So, how do you decide about authorship? Who should be on the paper? Who should not be on the paper? How much work should be done to be on the paper?
In DTU, it is like you cannot give authorship.
Yes.
That's a very big content. But in other research institutes, like I am in IGIB right now, so whatever collaboration is being done, even an antibody is taken from somebody else, you have to give credit.
So you say in DTU you cannot have other collaborators on your paper. What if they did some work?
But she should not be a BTech student or a PhD student. It should not be from some industry, and she must be a professor in a government. Only their name can be. Or
See, yeah.
someone is already graduated and then you take a NOC from them, then you can.
See, I mean, I'm not who can comment on that, but I feel that's different level, right? Because collaboration is important, working with each other is important. But if you are not allowed to take help, then that's fine. But if somebody helps you substantially, then they deserve to be on the paper. But if you know from day one, I cannot even take your help, then that's fine. Now it's not an ethical concern. But if you were doing intellectual contribution on the paper, like not trivial stuff, that okay, you are cleaning the dishes, you are if you're not giving me some substantial data for the paper, you should not be on the paper, right? Let's say you did XPS and you helped me do NMR, and you are doing FTIR or bacteria study or animal study, you actually did the surgery, then now, yes, yeah, yeah, not kill 50 animals is not the right language. Euthanize, yes, but yes. So if somebody is doing substantial intellectual contribution in a project, it's our duty to give them authorship, right? In your situation is different, but at the same time, it's also unethical that you are my friend and you did little bit work or no work and I still put you as a author, right? So that's not right also. Okay, so you have your criteria is you need to publish 2 papers with that criteria. Your third, fourth, fifth paper can be whoever is the co-author. You just cannot use those papers towards your dissertation.
It can be your thesis, but not as the criteria part.
The main 2 papers that you have. Okay. They should qualify for authorship, designated as authors. Okay. Consider how much work each person did in writing, editing, contributing, because it's also ethics to decide author order, right? If you did more work, she did less work, but I'm putting her as second author and you as third author, that's also unethical, right? Who conducted the research, who developed the concept, who wrote and edited the draft. This is important to discuss the author order. And sometimes you can imagine it's a very complicated process, right? Because if you did cell toxicity, she did bacteria study, who did more work? Whose work is more? She'll say, of course, my work is more. Maybe it was more time consuming. But fourth author, equal authorship, right? And you will say, yes, my work was not as much time, but I had to develop a new protocol to do it. But
would be the data which is like giving an impact. Would
yeah,
decide the
yeah, yes, I agree. But sometimes it's still complicated, right? You can imagine showing your material is toxic or not toxic, or showing your material is antimicrobial. What is more impactful? And I don't know. Right? Sometimes it's easy that, okay, this person definitely did more work. But sometimes
how do you handle?
it's tough. Sometimes it gets very complicated. You know, I don't have a good answer. Sometimes it gets complicated because students are upset. I should be third author. I should be second author. I should be an author when they did not intellectually contribute. And sometimes it comes to somebody took somebody's help. Oh, so there's another one. And I'm trying to explain it to students. It's not possible. Let's say for my work, you did bacteria study for my material, but it didn't work out. You tried it 4 or 5 times and it's not antimicrobial. We thought it would be, but it's not. Now, should you be on a paper or not? What do you guys think? You think the person should be on the paper. Okay. So the guidelines are that person should not be on the paper, right? Because, okay, this paper is published, right? This paper is published and you have, what is your contribution in that paper? I'm writing, hey, I'm making this ABC compound, which is hemocompatible. And I did all this hemocompatible studies and animal studies, but I do not have a single graph about antimicrobial properties of that material. I never put your data in it. So why should you be on that paper? Because you tried? See, in our field, I try to submit so many proposals, but nobody's saying, oh, you tried. Here is your $5 million because you tried. You tried, it didn't work. And see, when I was making a sample, and let's say my sample never worked, I was trying to make a hemocompatible, antimicrobial, strong material, wound healing. I couldn't make it. I have no paper.
But he or she dedicated time to me.
So let's say I dedicated 1 year to make a new wound healing dressing and it didn't work. Let's say it's brittle, it's breaking, it's not strong, it's not antimicrobial, whatever the reason is. Now I dedicated 1 year, but I cannot write a paper because my material never worked. Now, when I'm writing a proposal, I'm working for 6 months to write that proposal. If it doesn't get funded, there is no consolation prize. So you tried, it didn't work. Which figure did you contribute to in the paper? 0. So then why should you be an author? And see, maybe it's a debatable topic, right? Or maybe it's a professor's angle and student's angle that, oh, I worked on it.
It is mentioned in the authorship credit guide
Yes.
that if the data is not going into a paper, you will not be credited as it.
Yes.
If you're showing the negative result, okay, fine, this was not
Yes.
antibacterial, then you can
Yes,
make the
yes. So if I'm showing your data, like for some reason I'm showing in my paper, hey, this material is not antimicrobial for whatever reason, and I'm using the what you got for me, now it's fine, right? Because then what people can start doing is, I can tell him, hey, you try cancer application, you try whatever application, and then it didn't work for anything, but I put everybody on the paper. But I'm just trying random things now and just saying, hey, but this person tried for 1 month, they should be an author. Yes? So I think that's a good discussion topic. Okay, let's ask her. So if you do some work for a paper and it didn't work, you're testing antimicrobial properties of a material, and I was going to make you third author on the paper, but your data does not look good, and I'm publishing my paper now without your data, should you be an author on the paper or not an author on the paper?
So if my work, I may agree that the data might be as valuable as the quoted data. My work helped other authors develop some understanding, and for that, if it is a contribution, intellectual contribution, I should.
Okay, so you took it in a different angle, but yes, you're right. So intellectual contribution, yes, you can be an author. Like let's say when I was designing my dressing, wound dressing, you helped me science wise, chemistry wise, or you helped me understand, I wanted you be for a bacteria study, you helped me say, Hitesh, it's not going to be antimicrobial, rather it will be this, like you are really intellectually helping me for the project, then yes, you can be author. But if you just try to do some study for me, it didn't work, now according to me, you are not an author on the paper because you have no intellectual contribution. You worked as a technician to do some study, and that study didn't work out. There is also guidelines. If you are doing technician type work, you should not be on the paper, right? Because if I told you, hey, do contact angle for me, you did some contact angle and gave me the data. You have no idea what I gave you. Here are my 5 surfaces. Report contact angle. You just reported contact angle to me. Then that's also, maybe you can go in acknowledgement now. But if you say, if you sit with me and do a good discussion that, hey, this material was hydrophobic because of this contact angle, but after we added this top coat to it, that changed the properties, the alignment of the brushes changed, like you are bringing something out more intellectually that a technician cannot do. Now you can be an author on the paper. Yes.
How do you see that Edison Tesla controversy? The same, most of the Edisons were actually done by Tesla. He just copied them. So Tesla did this edit.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to have that discussion here. I know, I know. We can talk in our break time, that time. I don't want to comment on who should get credit or not. Okay, but we can discuss it later. Yes, sure. Okay. Then the other section of the manuscript is acknowledgements, right? So some people, it's more fitting to be in acknowledgement, right? If somebody did help with writing the manuscript or with the technical help, like, do you know, because in universities you can give your samples to somebody and say, hey, do XPS for me. They do it and give it to you. So they are not on the paper, but you who's analyzing the data of that XPS is on the paper, because that's your intellectual contribution. So I think different labs, different places, have very different culture. You know what it means to be on the paper. Some are super strict and some are very lenient. So How to avoid authorship disputes. Decide early on how authorship decisions will be made. Now, I don't know this is right or wrong. In my lab, what we do is, in order to, and I still don't know it's right or wrong, but I'll tell you. Some places they do is, let's get this work done. Then we will sit and decide first author, second author, third author, fourth author. Okay. And the second method is, from day one, I'm saying you are first author, you are second author, you are third author, you are fourth author. So now you say, what do you guys think is a better way?
First one, that
Second, first one?
people were, I was actually the language. I think the people should work, and then we that how much they are contributing to a paper. And while preparing that manuscript, one should have a discussion, like whose name is going to be first author or second author, or in second case, which you are saying you are the first author, you are the second author, then the amount of work should also be like rationally distributed.
Yes.
You are the first author because you are doing this much of.
Yes. Yes. So, okay. What else? What all others think about it?
When we plan any work, we decide the role of every. So authorship we decided they don't.
So you say that method is better. Okay. Others? Huh? So get the work done, then we will decide the author order. You say that, you say that, you say second. Okay. Second. Okay.
From both the methods, yes, you have already decided the authorship, you have devised the work. Let's say experimenting, lab condition, and work. So, something that you were explaining earlier, let's say author number one was supposed to do X amount of work, which was the biggest among all, and 70% of them doesn't work. So still, does he come the first?
Yeah, it's very, very good point. Okay, yes. So his point is, if people didn't understand, so let's say on day one I said, you will be first author, you will be second author, you will be third author. You will do these 5 studies, you will do these 3 studies, you will do these 2 studies. But now suddenly, the 4 studies we decided for you, 2 didn't work. But for him, he did now 3 studies. But we had decided he's the third author, you are the second author. So now should he stay the third author and you stay the second author? Or now we need to change the authorship?
Obviously, as a first author, basically first author are the ones supposed to create the idea.
Yes.
Then we draft.
Yeah. So first author is fine. Mostly first author is easy to see who is the first author, who's running the show. We are talking about second, third, fourth author.
That is, if we decide earlier, but later on, such kind of situation happens, like the hybrid model we can adopt from
Yes.
both of them.
Yes.
This only concludes the second method, that once the work is done, then only we'll decide who is to be first, second, or third. But we don't know who will execute.
Yes.
Even if I want to, how much can I execute with my skill and understanding?
Okay. I mean, it's a very good topic, right? And I know these people who like the second method more, they have something to add also. I have something to add also. So I'll tell you, let's say we are making new antimicrobial coating for a urinary catheter. And you guys are all my lab people. Now, who's going to lead this project? Like, if I'm not even saying that you will be the first author, I'm saying, okay, let's make this new antimicrobial urinary catheter coating. Now, all 7 of you will start working on it. And I'm not saying this is a right method or wrong method. I know labs have both styles. So the benefit of this method will be there can be a healthy competition but the negative is there can be an unhealthy competition. you know, now maybe all of you are trying to do the same thing and you have this race. Whoever will come to me first and say my catheter coating is ready, I am going to make that person first author, kind of. But now you all are putting your sources to do the same thing. Maybe you are failing to try a few things, but you don't want to share it with anybody in the lab because you want to be first. And if you tell, hey, this didn't work, that person's time will be saved, but you want to do it before her, so you want her to fail, so you can be the first author on the paper. See, I'm just talking human nature. You know, this is wrong, unethical, but there is a race. The resources are getting wasted because you all are doing same thing, and in the end we are just going to get one paper. Teamwork won't be there because you might form mini teams now.
You can also create food डालो शासन करो.
So now mini teams will be formed, right? Maybe 2 or 3 of you will say, hey, you help me get this developed, I will help you in your next project to get that developed. And those 2 people will be like, oh, you do this. So now there is a divide in the lab, resources getting wasted, people are trying to hide information from each other. She's buying some chemical from literature that, oh, maybe this can be the chemical, but she's hiding it. You are buying that same chemical and you don't want to share or tell anybody that you bought that chemical. There can be all this happening.
Chances of plagiarism in between the lines, that will also be there.
Yeah. Right? But the positive can be, if people look at it in a positive way, there is like a healthy race that I want to get it done before you want to move fast with that project, right? But then everybody needs to be with that caliber and that attitude, which is, I feel, very difficult sometimes. I mean, if I'm hiring people in the lab, maybe I get 2 or 3 people like that thinker, but 2 or 3 people are not thinking in that way. Now what?
Anyway, it's more productive because the race is open-ended. Much as you get it done, it will get you late. But in the first way, if I wanted to decide that he will be the first author. So now there's a thing called entitlement. Like karu ya main na karu, I'm gonna be the first author because I was decided it to be. And that may itself sabotage the whole paper and the research idea.
So this is so cool because we see this all the time, right?
This is what's happening in India.
So now, lot of time entitlement is not for the first author. First author wants to push it and get it done. Entitlement happens for second and third author. Hey, I'm going to be second author on the paper, but now Neha is telling second author, third author that, guys, I'm going to graduate. Can you give me this data? And you have other things on your plate. Right? You have other things on your plate and this is not your priority right now. But we already said you will be the second author. Now, if we remove you from second author, there is like bad feeling in the lab now that, oh, Neha removed me from second author position, and you don't want to do it with your colleagues in the lab. So now what do you do? But then there is this entitlement problem is there now, right? So really, I don't know what's the right and wrong thing, but this is a very, very good problem to have very, very long discussions. One thing I feel can be done, what if we decide the first author, okay, that Neha is making nitric oxide releasing urinary catheter. She's leading that project. But we don't decide second, third, fourth author. Now, when she reaches a stage that she needs help with some studies, she'll go to you and say, hey, I have 1 month time. Can you do these studies for me? And you will say, I have too much on my plate. I cannot give you in 1 month. Then she'll come to Rashmi and say, I have this much work needs to be done in 1 month. Can you do it? She says, sure, I can do it. So at that point, we decide who is the second author. But first, we don't give title to people. You were second, you are third, you are fourth. And we are just doing it as the time comes. So we can pick the second, third, fourth author. And okay, this method. And now entitlement is not there because you were never promised a position. You either take this opportunity or somebody else will take it. And if you take it and you don't deliver, you are not doing it, we never promised you second author. We can move it to the next author and there is no hard feelings now, hopefully. I don't think so, but it's different lab cultures. I don't want to comment on people's lab cultures, right? I cannot do that. For example, we have 40 people. How can we do it? Right? But you're right. You have a good point. I mean, if it's a small lab, maybe all the papers will actually bring everybody together. If it's 4 people lab and you all are contributing, there is no problem. But I know your question is, if people are just the culture is, hey, she's publishing, all 7 people are on the paper. You are publishing, all 7 people are on the
They
paper.
can do the work, but
Yeah.
during lab meetings, they give some insights. So does that qualify as
So I say it depends on what the insight is, right? Is it really game changer? Is it like really that material was never going to be formed and they helped you? Now intellectual contribution is going up. So the real word is intellectual contribution. See, if you show something and say, hey, do contact angle. But if I tell you, oh, you're not immobilizing this material, maybe try this science, after the meeting, let's work together. I'll show you a reaction, how you can immobilize this on the surface. Now I really helped you to prepare that surface. You were failing. My idea helped you to synthesize that material, fabricate that material. You are helping intellectually a lot. Without my help, you were not even going to make it. So now, intellectually, I'm helping you a lot. It happens a lot.
yes, sir.
So a lot of drama I have seen. Okay, another drama I have seen is co-author, co-first author. People decide, let's say you both come to me and say, we are planning to do this work and we both will be co-first authors. You both are very happy, you're best friends. Now the work starts and one of you is working a lot and the other person is, now what do you do? In the lab, the culture will be really bad if we just remove her. You complain to me, we are co-first author, she's not doing anything. Now your relationships will be bad. But if you don't do that, you keep getting upset every day. Why am I am a co-first author. What's happening? Why she's not helping me and I'm doing all the work? That happens. Your question, I know stories from people. They helped a lot on the paper. They actually did studies. They did a lot of studies on the paper, but they are not on the paper. They actually have data. Figure number 2, figure number 4 is their figure, and they are not on the paper. So I see a lot of things. People asking their friends, hey, do this study, I'll put you on the paper. Little stuff like, okay, you just do this and I'll put you. When it's a more technician job, that happens. So it's just we are human beings. We have different way of thinking, different criteria. I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong, but all this is happening. Some things are fair, some things are not fair, but
Sometimes that आपका name नहीं बोलूँगी, but professor said to first author you will decide all authors.
yes, see, that can happen, that you tell the first author, decide the author order and decide the authors. Now that's I think a dangerous way to do it. So usually I say one good way can be, You sit with the first author and say, okay, who all helped you? Okay, she says you say you should be the second author and he should be the third author. Then I ask, what did she do? What did he do? Did she do? And then I'll be like, you are saying she should be second author, but don't you think he did more work than her? So that can be one way. Because you both like each other, you are not as good close friends with this, but all this human nature, friendships, conflicts, all get mixed up.
The context. You have three co-host authors. The second author. Now the revision comes. You already have three authors, three co-authors. What is the need of a second author then?
Yes, so this is another very good question. I don't know the answer. Sometimes what happens, let's say Neha is graduating soon, right? She submits a paper in a journal. She's a first author. Now the revisions come back with lot of revisions. I hope not, but lot of revisions. Now what do we do? Like, she's not here, she cannot do the study. Now I am telling you that, okay, we have to address the reviewers' questions. Now you do a lot of work. If I put you as a co-first author, Neha is going to get upset. It was my idea, I did all the work. What do you mean? Why she's in the co-first author?
My question was.
I know. I was.
When it was already decided.
I know. I gave me this thought, so that's why I started talking about that. But now, and you are saying, why should I do all this work? That's almost equivalent to a first author work when I'm going to be third author on the paper. So that's and I am not saying how to solve it. I don't know how to solve it. These are just the ethics, conflicts. But your question, you already have three co-first authors. That's another version of your question is you have three co-first authors. Reviewers' questions come, you are the three co-first. You do a lot of work now to address reviewers' comments. Now you should be moved to first co-first author, right? But now co-first number 1 and co-first number 2 will be very upset. Where did she come from? She was the third co-first author. Why did she become first co-first author? So you see, sometimes PI's life is very difficult. If I try to be fair to you, she thinks I am the most unfair person. If I try to be fair to her, you think I'm doing so much work, where is fairness for me? Lot of times, we don't even get a clear picture. Everybody has their own version. So I honestly don't even know, is this person right or is this person right? This person is coming to me crying, oh, this happened. This person is coming to me crying. And now what do I do? You know, wherever US, India, Europe, Australia, I'm 100% sure people are same everywhere, right? Human nature is human nature, right? I always think my work is, I did more work than she did. She thinks, but my work is more important than what he did. So people are same, students are same, thinking is same. Whatever you guys face here, everybody is facing similar things, right? And I can see, but I also say some of my students are super honest. There have been some students who come to me and tell me, I should not be on this paper. There are students like that level also. So I should give them a lot of credit also. They'll come and say, I don't think so, I contributed so much. I just helped a little bit here, there. I don't think so, I deserve authorship. But then my respect for those people go like here. And in future, if I go to them and ask any questions, I can trust what they are saying. There are students who will tell me, no, I should not be second author. I think I should be fourth author. Somebody else did more work than me. So there are people like that who cry, and they want. But then there are people with such moral ethics who really say, no, I should not be on it. But then, you know, in long run, those are the people I want to stay in touch with. Those are the students I really will always cherish and respect, because I know as a student, losing a paper means a lot, as even a fourth author. But they were so brave and so honest that they told me the reality and said, no, 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 I was going to put them on a paper, and they said, no, I should not be on this paper. So even if they lost that paper, they gained so much respect in my eyes that I'll try to go out of the way to help them in future for jobs or for whatever way I can help them. So there are people with that high moral standards also. Discuss expectations, accept request to be on refer to professional societies code, check journal requirements. Publications, so you already know when publications, you can either get rejected, accepted, major revision, minor revision, you know all that, right? We don't need to at least talk about that. Always cite important papers in your paper, you know. You only submit to one journal at a time. I mean, I don't even know why we wrote journally. You always submit to one journal. You should not submit to multiple journals. That's wrong, unethical.
One more query. So there was this one peer who sent me 12 of his papers to be cited in my paper. So what should I do in that case? This paper is still in revision and I have to submit.
Okay, so very good question. You can do multiple things. One, if you feel that the person is very genuine and that work should be cited, then there's no harm citing it. But if you feel, out of these 12, only 4 are relevant, then you can just cite those 4 and then submit it and say nicely that, thank you so much for your suggestion. I think for this particular work, these 4 are the relevant publications that we are citing. The next option is you email the editor separately and say, just ask that question that you are asking me, that sir, out of these 12 papers, only these 2 or 3 or 4 are relevant, because reviewers can reject your paper, right? You don't want it to be rejected also. So you can just ask the editor, I am doing this, I just wanted you to know. So now if that reviewer rejects your paper, at least that editor knows the real story behind it. And if there is good justification to reject it, editor will say, no, 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 I support the reviewer. Or the editor might send your paper to a different reviewer. See, editors are also very ethical and honest. They have to be, because it's the journal's reputation at stake. So they know all these things, whatever we are talking, they know at a much better level. So they might not send your paper back to that person. Or the editor might reply to you and say, don't even worry about those 4 if you feel pressured. I can send your paper to a different reviewer now. So there are options, so even if they are good friends, I think the editors are so morally or ethically strong, or they have to be, they won't bring their French. It's just a publication, right? Do you think they will put at stake their editorship for a paper, right? They are not going to go to that friend and say, oh, this is happening with that paper that you were reviewing. It's such a trivial thing in a big scheme of things that that editor can keep quiet, and I'm sure most editors are honest like that. And they'll just send that paper to a different reviewer instead of complaining to the reviewer, hey, this person is complaining against you like that. I'm sure editor won't do that. Editors won't do that. It's not worth putting their reputation at risk with this type of trivial stuff, right? Another important thing, you should always send the paper to everybody before you publish it, whoever is a co-author on that paper. Okay, I cannot put you in the paper, only send it to you 3, Don't send it to you and submit the paper. I mean, you may or may not put any edits, but it's my job to say, hey guys, hey all the co-authors, here is the paper. Please let me know your edits by next week. I'm going to submit it to this journal. There is an author order there, and the whole manuscript is there. And now you may say, oh, I have no comments, looks great. But I have to send it to all the co-authors before I submit it.